Hello, my name is Pamela Powers, the Tucson Progressive. Today is December 26, 2023, the day after Christmas and just a few days before New Year's Eve. So I don't know about you, but I'm really glad to say bye-bye to 2023. It was a stressful year for me, and one thing that really helped me through the stress and helped me stay organized and centered in my life was bullet journaling. So I'm here to suggest that there are at least 10 reasons why you might want to take on bullet journaling as a New Year's resolution for 2024. First of all, it's obvious that a journal has certain organizational elements that are going to help you in your life. So how is a bullet journal different? So a bullet journal is a system that was developed by a guy named Ryder Carroll. He has ADHD, and he said in one of his original videos that he struggled in school and at work trying to keep himself organized, and that if you looked at his computer screen at work, it was just covered with sticky notes of tasks and deadlines and things that he had to remember that he was having a hard time remembering because of his ADHD and because he was stressed and busy. So he came up with the bullet journal system. And so if you look at his original video, and I suggest that you do, I will have it linked to my Substack article on journaling. He started very simply, and so he just has a plain journal, black ink. So he would have what he calls like a future planning, which in like a daytimer world would be like a year at a glance. He also has weekly sort of logs with tasks and events that are all denoted by different icons. And so if a task is completed that day, it is marked in a certain way. If the task is going to be moved to the next day or the next week, there's like an arrow pushing it forward. If the task is going to be sort of tabled, it goes backward to the future planning, which is the year. So maybe you don't have to worry about it on December 26, 2023. Maybe that is something you could stick over into March or June 2024. So it's a way of organizing yourself in time. It's a way of prioritizing things and sort of, keep a track of what you're doing. So in that way, it's similar to day timers or day planners. I used to use a day timer religiously when I was in management at the University of Arizona. I was that person who lugged in that giant day timer, and I'd sit there making notes and making plans and to-do lists and things like that. But the problem with the day timer is that it was great during the year, but then when you're done with the year, you're stuck with a binder clip full of pages, and then what do you do with them? I think it's much easier if you have things in a bound journal. It keeps them together. I have mine, this one's not labeled yet because it's a current one, but I have mine labeled on the spine by year, and it's very easy to go back and look at things. And so the basic, benefit of the bullet journal is that it's similar to a day timer system, but I think a little bit more improved. I watched the original videos, but I also watched a lot of videos made by influencers on YouTube. And so I followed a woman called Masha Plans, and Masha's still out there, but there were lots of others also. And so what they've taken the very basic ideas of bullet journaling, and then they've kind of mixed it in with scrapbooking in a way, and mixed it in with, diaries and almost even adult coloring, because some of the women are way into like calligraphy and, sort of illustrating their ideas. I'm not an illustrator. I've been a graphic designer for many years. And so I really took to the idea of, using some of my graphic design skills to, go with sort of a different type of bullet journal. And so I have one where this is what, Ryder Carroll would call his future plan. And so, what Masha suggests is that you draw out the year, and then you have these spaces underneath each month. So then you can put down birthdays or important events, or like if you get into monthly planning, you decide that, you need to remember some, future date, like the day your property tax is due, or the day your rent's due, or the day you want to cancel your lease. You can put it on, this sort of a spread, so you'll remember to do that in a certain month. The other thing that it has is it has like a monthly spread. And so each month you draw out these months, and I know it looks like it takes a lot of time, but it really focuses your attention on your life and the spaces of days and how many days you have to do a task. And so for the months, you have a month. And then what I usually have, my format is simple. It's like the status of what's going on and then sort of goals for the month. And then you have, of course, a weekly layout. And I had a format where each week would have like a color. And so this particular week, the weekly spread has this color band, and then each daily spread for this week has this same color band and the same purple accent color. And so for my weekly spread, this is something that I came up with by looking at Masha and lots of other influencers. And so the top is the days of the week. And then the bottom is areas of my life that I want to focus on. And I want to make sure that I accomplish things in these areas, or I meet certain goals. And so I have health, and in the health area, I walk every day, and I also want to make sure that I have 5 a day, 5 fruits and vegetables every day. So those are my main goals in the health area. There's people and relationships, there's work, there's home. I have a 90-year-old house, and there's lots of things to do around here with, the garden and the house and the dog. And so there's home, there's music, and then there's writing. And then up here, I have things that I know have to be done. And you'll see like there's sometimes where you might not have a lot up here scheduled, or you might not have a lot of specific meetings, but you have lots of things down here. And obviously some of these things down here can move up here. And so now I'm going to show you actually this week. And so this is a week that's not completely filled out yet. So, because it's only Tuesday. And so Monday was Christmas. And so Monday's all red. It's all about people and relationships and, being together for Christmas time. Today, though, I have a lot of things on my to-do list. And you can see, but these 2 days have nothing. So if I don't get everything done today, I can move some of these things over, or I can move some of these house things up, because I've got cleaning to do after Christmas and things like that. And I definitely want to get more practicing in on the accordion. So this would be the weekly spread for this week as it evolves. And then for each day, then with the bullet journal, you would have a spread. So here's today's spread. I have those tasks that I wanted to do today. And then what I would do is sort of, in notes or other bullets, kind of what I got done, right? And so I did walk today, so I did that. I ate pretty well. I worked on my journal, but we'll see how many of these others get done. I'm really trying to get the video done, which is on this list. And so, again, it's really good at sort of organizing your life like a day timer would. But it goes beyond that, in my opinion, because the bullet journal is also really good at organizing big tasks and making big decisions. For example, if you want to rent an apartment or buy a house or buy a car, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. When I was in the legislature, every year I had to rent a new apartment. And so I finally decided to use the bullet journal system to help me out. And so I had criteria that I wanted in every apartment. And when I would go and do the searches online, the same apartments would pop up. And so what I did was I came up with the criteria I wanted. I had a price point. I didn't want extra fees. I hoped that, electricity at least would be included, so I didn't have to set up an APS account. And I wanted a washer dryer. And then what I did, when I did the web searches, I came up with like a plus or minus system on the different apartment complexes based on how they stacked up against my list. And you can see I made a lot of phone calls and a lot of internet searches. And I even, at the end, I went through and I put down all the pros and the cons of the places that I had rented, that what I liked and didn't like. And so this was really, really valuable to go back to and say, oh, here's what I thought of the old Cortez, or here's what I thought of the Shorewood, or something like that. So I used the bullet journal system to organize big projects also. For example, you might have seen some of my Substack articles about the van life. I was in the process of buying a van in the spring, and I used the bullet journal to write down all the criteria, just like I did with the apartments, and sort of systematically go through vans that I saw online and then eventually go and visit those vans on the lot. The other thing that I did was I sort of organized my thoughts on what I would do to the van. So I was also planning it. So I looked for characteristics in the van. I talked about what I would want to take and how it made me feel to be this productive and, think about the van. And then the other thing is I was planning on building a bed for the van because I like to camp. I've been a lifelong camper, but I don't want to sleep on the ground. And so I wanted to have a platform. So I have my sketches for the platform in here. And then I also have a list of, what I would want to buy. And, it's been months that I've been planning this. So little by little, I buy a cooler, I buy a tent and things like that. But again, this was a project that I've been doing for months, and I have all the details in there. And every once in a while, I'll think, well, did I do everything on that list of things that I had projected, back in April? And I go back and say, oh, well, actually, here's a couple more things that I've done or not done. Lastly, but not least, in the organizational scope of what a bullet journal can do for you, is it's really good for having big lists. I'm a list maker, but it's really good at having like giant lists, like 2-page lists if you have a whole lot to do. And so, for example, like here's, like a Christmas list where I have different people, different ideas. One of the things that I did this year for Christmas was I did a lot of baking. So here are the things I thought about making. Here are the ingredients. I was celebrating the fact that I got a really nice new toaster oven and I had accurate temperature. And so, again, you can make these giant lists and then you can go back to them, when you want to check up on your progress in a way. So there are organizational reasons to take up the bullet journal, but I would also say that there are mental health reasons to take up a bullet journal. People, like I said, people see, those handwritten calendars and, the fancy tape, and, the colored pencils and things like that and say, oh, that's so much time or that's a waste of time. But I would say that this adds focus to what you're doing and it adds intention. And so when I sit there and I draw out those calendars, it does take time, but it really focuses me on, the week ahead or the month or the year and how I feel and what I need to do in my life and what my goals are. And so it's a time to really be here now. And I think that is a really, really valuable thing for the bullet journal. It's a valuable service in a way. It also helps with memory because you might get to meet, for me, this happens to me anyway, I get to the end of the week sometimes and I go, what did I do? I was busy, but what did I really do? And I can go back and look at the bullet journal or look at what I projected for the week. And it was like, oh yeah, I worked on my Substack article. I shot a video. I did laundry. I planted seeds. I had dinner with my grandchildren. And so those all, are part of a balanced life. And those are all valuable activities. Even though some of them are play and some of them are work, they're still all valuable and part of your life. And it's good to see those things and remember those things. I also think it builds self-esteem because you can go back. I mean, I have a lot of these journals in different colors and I can go back and I can see, what I felt like a year ago or 2 years ago about what I was writing, what I was doing in the legislature or things like that, or my relationships or my grandchildren being born. And so it's nice. It's nice to go back and see where you've been and where you are now. And then lastly, I'd say one of the big benefits of the bullet journal is it gives us an activity to stay grounded in our lives and get us off of social media. You know, I mean, people, I think a lot of the problems today are created because people are getting so worked up with misinformation or too much information or too much stress coming from what's going on in the world today. And all of that negativity is amplified on social media, in my opinion. And so I think having a bullet journal and drawing out the year and adding some fancy tape and, you know, some colorful drawings and some calligraphy and focusing on yourself and your intentions for the future towards your relationships and your life, that is time well spent. Consider it. Bullet journaling. It's been helpful for me, and I think it'll be helpful for you also. Happy New Year.